God, they can see us. We're live. What is up, everyone?
Oh boy.
This is... I cannot tell you all how I have just been, like, vibrating with exciting anxiousness, like, all fucking day. Just, like, staying hype, driving around, picking up dogs. Oh my God, it's so soon. 5 hours away, 3 hours away. But yes, this is so exciting to welcome you all, friends, colleagues, future enemies.
Countrymen.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, to bring you to the season premiere of Path and Prophecy, a brand new D&D campaign that we are hosting here on the Venture Maidens in collaboration with the Mind Sculptors, a podcast super group that myself, Callahan, and Charles all belong
We're the
to.
Team 10 of CEDH is what I think Charles said that.
No, Morgan said that.
Morgan said that. That's right.
I don't even know what a Team 10 is.
But yes, it's super cool to be here, so welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to watch it again, or if you do miss this broadcast, we will be uploading them onto the Mind Sculptors YouTube page, which is very cool, so they will be there for all posterity.
I do have some unfortunate news for you, Sage.
What's that?
Is Lenny and Claybee are switched on our overlay.
Oh my goodness, let me fix that. It wouldn't be stream one without some weird things happening. All right, let us fix these. Burp. I'm just like, let's put people in boxes. Oh, I know what I did. I put them in the order that I see them, not in their.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
That's what happened. All right, we're here. We're with it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just watching chat, and they're all like, they're in the wrong spot.
No,
oh, no.
appreciate it.
I was just thinking we wait till like I try to sneak attack and then I'm like, wait a minute.
How long until the inevitable
I
Lavinia?
don't think we'll see Lavinia here since this is Theros and not Ravnica. But
You hold too high esteem for me, Charles.
I'll see if we can find some way. You know, whatever. I'll work on it. We'll put it on the list of requests. But yes, so upkeeping. So for content warnings for this episode, I anticipate themes of disease. So I know that we are still in year 2 of the pandemic. So if that's not something you're okay with dealing with, then for all of our viewers out there, then I recommend sitting this episode out. Totally feel you. Come back when you've got the spoons. And other than that, I think that's it. Hi, what's up? I'm Sage. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a professional storyteller, TTRPG writer, D&D and Magic the Gathering player, and I'm very excited to be here, and I will be your champion of divinity and your dungeon master today.
What a title.
Yes.
That is champion of divinity. That's a hard act to follow. I'm Callahan. I'm not a professional storyteller. However, I am a professional podcast host, and yeah, I founded both the Mind Sculptors and Major League Commander, which we did earlier this season. And so if you like CEDH and you like those things, and you know me from that. And then there's like a handful of people from like Central Ohio who might know me from being a sports reporter, and that's about it. So.
all right.
Nice.
Oh, my pronouns are they, them, by the way. I forgot that part of it.
And your character's name, race, and class. And
Oh,
their
yeah.
pronouns.
Okay, so my character's name is Faria. She is a Nyxborn Triton warlock.
All right. Wait, am I next?
Yes.
That would be you.
And then Claybee.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I don't think I'm a professional anybody. My name is Charles.
Oh, shut up, Charles.
You're a professional mono white guy.
Yeah. I saw. Oh man, that's too rich for my blood. I don't know. Like, I prefer it to be modest, right? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. what's the phrase? A humble appearance belies the master. Is if you guys know what card I'm referencing, it's not a mono white card, by the way. Yeah, some of you in the Magic the Gathering community know me as the mono white guy. I play a lot of mono white decks. I've been on Playing with Power and on episodes with the Mind Sculptors, and was a semifinalist in the MLC and the recent Founders Tournament. And I do a lot of wait, are we allowed to swear here or?
Oh yeah, swear, smoke, drink. We don't give a fuck.
All right, so
Okay,
I've done
in
a
that
lot
case.
of weird shit with some Magic the Gathering decks you probably have never heard of. Some people think that I'm a madman for doing this. Yeah, I don't play D&D that often, but I do love D&D. I play it personally myself. I'm a casual D&D player. I'm not as hardcore or competitive as I am with Mono White. And the character that I will be playing today in this series, and hopefully, onwards, if he survives, his name is Sias. He is a human paladin, and do I have to say anything else about my character, or do we do the rest?
No, we'll get into like character description and their background and everything once we get into the scene.
Oh, awesome. All right, cool. Then I will just leave it at that. Oh, and my pronouns are he, him, they, or he, him. And, off to you, Claybee.
Hi everyone, I'm Claybee. I am a professional bullshitter, and I make Commander content on Twitch with my friends over at the CNC Power Hour. We do virtual Commander content on Wednesdays and Sundays, along with basically any and all like pre-constructed forms of Magic. We dip our toes throughout other formats as well. This is my first time playing D&D. I'm very excited. I've wanted to for years and years. Just never had a chance, and so I'm really excited to be here with some good people to help guide me through, and in a plane that I'm like really familiar with. I really love Theros just conceptually. So my pronouns are they them, and then so my character is Nikki, who is actually an anvil wrought minotaur fighter, and their pronouns are also they them, as they're more or less a construct. And I think that's all my stuff, right? Am I good?
Yes.
Thank you, champion. Lenny.
All right. I am Lenny, Lenny Woolley, if you want my last name. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a professional, I guess, article writer now. I write articles every other week for edhrec.com, where they take terrible commanders that everybody hates or are sort of like really strong and then give them bad decks that you can play in a more casual setting. I will be playing Tilos of the Iron Maidens. He is a Leonin rogue, so stabbing and thieving.
Is he good at getting into tight spaces?
Better
Better at thieving.
Something doing it from behind.
I'm trying to make a Guardians of the Galaxy reference. I'm doing a very bad job at it.
Oh, I'm just being lewd.
Yeah, that's where I was going. My mind's always in the gutter.
My brain immediately just had like, what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? Better for thieving. That's what I thought of. But I guess I'm the wholesome one in the group.
That tracks.
He is a pussycat, right?
Whoa.
I mean, what are you guys thinking about?
I mean,
when
what's
said
new?
All right. Getting demonetized real fast. Let's go.
Can we get like a timestamp check for how soon that was? 15 minutes in? Oh, damn.
Oh,
No.
goodness.
15 minutes is when they went live, but we went on like what, 10 minutes ago?
Something yeah.
Don't count the splash screen.
Oh, wait, actually, what are the pronouns of our characters? Real quick. Tilos is a he, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is Nikki a they?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
And Faria is a she, correct?
Correct.
And then Sias is also he.
Yeah, it's a he.
Awesome. Very cool. Well then, let us begin our first
Oh.
session. So, Callahan,
That's me.
we begin in the twisting void of Nyx, the divine celestial body that caresses the mortal realm like a mother's breath caresses her infant's cheek. We see a starry woman with the skin of a viper who wears a bronze helm that features two snakes reared back and facing each other. Two golden snakes emerge seamlessly from a starry void in her chest. And we see, as she plunges her scaled hand into this void from where her heart would be, and she produces a glowing white egg. You hear a voice somewhere deep nestled within the just pit of your mind, a voice that rings through every molecule of your body. Faria, stand at the heart of the stone wood, where statues pour sweat and shiver with dread, where blood drips onto the mighty serpent's head. Pay the stone toll and make the stone pay. Should crueler hearts prevail, all the living will become gray. Tell me, what is it like for Faria to be cosmically hatched into the mortal realm?
Well, she doesn't really know anything else, right? Like, she just didn't exist 30 seconds ago, and now she exists now, and she is just kind of looking around. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we talked about this beforehand or not, but would she have any sort of like artificial memory of anything, or is this like first thoughts like a baby?
This is like first thoughts.
Okay. And I'm in Nyx right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just taking it in. Like, everything's pretty wild. These are new things for me to be experiencing.
And all around you is the swirling nebulaic cosmos of these twisting constellations that, as you sort of clear the last of the ether from your eyes, you see that they are become these starry forms. And this woman, as you sit in her hand, this woman who is just on a scale that you cannot possibly fathom, she takes you ever so gently, and through this, and with this feeling of vertigo, of this sort of swirling, spiraling energy around you, you feel as if you are suddenly almost in another time, and certainly another place. And from your divine nascency, you emerge. And the first thing that you truly see is a middle-aged woman with bronze skin and graying ringlets that she sweeps back behind her ear. And she asks you, "Are you the answer to our prayers?" As she proffers a hand to help you stand up. As you can kind of take a look around for your setting, you can see that you are sitting in a pool of water.
Okay. Am I... There's still like the starry stuff all around me, right? Like, am I still in Nyx at this point, or have I made it to, like, can I like roll perception or something to figure out like where I am to try and orient myself?
Yeah, so looking around, you can tell that you are no longer within that cosmic body from which you were emerged. You find yourself in a large temple, a temple that has this black marble with these green veins that sort of run through it, and there are immediately behind you is a bronze statue of the woman who had just spoken this prophecy to you. And before you is a long rectangular hallway in which you see a couple dozen people who are looking at you with just bated breath and anxious eyes.
And then there's a woman who just talked to me and asked me if I'm yeah, I just want to be like, I want to ask, like, who are you and where am I?
And she says, "You're at the Temple of Malady. We were just praying to Farika that she would illuminate us with the knowledge for some sort of tonic for a great sickness that has taken the people of Maidens."
I know that the word sickness, I think, strikes a chord with me as something that I really don't like hate. And I immediately am like, what is the sickness?
And she says, "Well, it seems to be new. We have only seen the sort of final effects," as she has sort of a dour look on her face. At first it starts with stomach cramps and then and then you produce stones from your body, and then your extremities, your fingers start to calcify and become stone. And this morning we discovered the first victim that we had discovered having this illness. They're a statue.
Can I I look at her and I ask her to take me to the victim.
And as she does so, why don't you describe what your character looks like for all of us?
Yeah. So my character is a Triton, or for the people who are more familiar with, you know, uh, Magic the Gathering, more commonly known as a merfolk. And she is kind of has. Oh, and I had the picture in front of me. Like pale bluish green skin, um, very much like kind of that like coral looking hair that sticks straight up on the sides. That's like blue, greenish, orange with like a little bit of black in there. Um, and then I imagine where the black is on her body, you would see sort of stars sparkling around in that because she's a Nyxborn. So she has some of those enchantment like qualities to her. Um,
Absolutely. And so as you begin in this long rectangular hallway, which bisecting this temple, you can see is a long, very skinny rectangular pool, and sort of slithering around on the ground and into the pool and around in the area, you just see are dozens and dozens of snakes. And one of them in particular, one of them who matches very much in the way that you do, of with it's a black and green, or it's like a black snake with green little ringlets all along the side. And you can see if we're in very much the same way that you are, where there is the darkness and the shadow, you see this sort of nebulous constellation that sort of subtly shifts to you, and it gently slithers up over your feet, and it rears up and it looks to you with this knowing eye.
I recognize this as something that feels familiar, but not. Obviously, I'm like new, right? So like I don't know it totally well.
It definitely calls to you.
Can I reach down and like extend my hand towards it?
And as you do so, it sort of like does that little like snake head bob where it kind of just wriggles up, and it forks out this little sort of like silvery tongue it just feels like ether. It doesn't even feel like anything, and it gives you a little boop.
Yeah, I like kind of help like pick it up and like hold it in my hands and just like study it, I guess.
And just the more you hold it, the more you feel the sort of knowledge just sort of flow into you, where it's as if you're reaching back into distant memories and pulling them forward, and it's a little bit overwhelming first, but as you kind of ease into that, you feel that this is a gift. This is a conduit.
Man. Can I like ask it its name? I don't have animal like I don't have like any way to communicate with like I mean I have like a +1 in animal handling, but I don't have like any way to commute with animals.
All right, but looking at this thing though, you can tell that this is no ordinary snake. This is no mere beast. And it kind of cocks its head at you, and you feel this sort of tingling at the back of your neck. Almost like it's the feeling of when you see that someone's calling before your phone actually rings.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pick up?
Yeah. Hello, this is Farika. How may I help you?
And you hear a voice that very much is reminiscent of the voice that you had just heard. But it also seems like you had heard so long ago. Time now feels to be moving at a very different speed. But you hear, whatever you would like to call me. We'll figure it out together.
Okay, well, that's weird. I don't really have a gauge for what weird is, but I don't know. I feel like you should have a name, but we'll figure it out, I guess. So I guess I just keep following this lady out of this hallway
And all the
With
people in this... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
with like a snake on my shoulder.
It's a pretty decently large snake, too. It's like, it's like a ball python. They're like kind of in its youth, so it's like 4-ish feet long. And this woman is just looking at you with just mouth agape and sheer awe, and all of these people have been completely silent. You don't think you have heard a single breath happen in this room as they're watching this transpire. And eventually, as you're like, yeah, let's go, like kind of raises an eyebrow and is like, oh, all right, this way.
This is not weird at all. This is totally normal.
For being cool, playing cool. Beautiful. And we'll switch now to Charles. We come to Sias. It's mid-morning in the polis of Maidens, a place like so many others you've learned to call home. You've become well acquainted with the white marble walls of the city that feature blue veins that twist through them like a roiling train of thought, with the squawking calls of seabirds and the aroma of cumin, garlic, and peppers hanging lazily on the salty ocean air. So for Sias, what does a typical morning look like? What is this scene that we walk into, and what does Sias look like? What is he doing?
Okay, so Sias has been on the road being a traveling wayfarer, going from city to city. He wears a blue and white robe, indicating sort of the school of thought that he originates from, with Faria as his god or patron deity. And throughout his journey, he has now accumulated a skill set that's mostly martial based. And he wears with him a shield and a sword that is sheathed to his side, and has what looks like, I guess, what you would imagine, uh, armor plating that is of the time in Theros, indicating that he has some type of, like I said, martial training. But his demeanor and the way that he walks about the city of Miletus, he doesn't give the aura or indication that he is of any threat as he uh, walks right in through the gates. And some of the people there have already seen him before, year after year, as he makes his regular trip into Miletus. Uh, the sounds that you described are all familiar tunes to Sias, and for him, what he looks for, what he finds, is oddly enough rather strange because unlike the usual citizen or denizen of Miletus who work like clockwork, going to their appointments or their duties and obligations today, Sias instead has his ears open and his eyes widened, looking for whoever needs help. And so he is just observing his surroundings. Um, I would like to ask you, DM, if my passive perception is what, a 12, what do I see in Miletus?
So taking in everything, it's probably about 10 o'clock, and the time that you're stepping into the city now, it feels very different from any other time. While there is still the usual hustle and bustle of the city, there seems to be a very real tension within each of the citizens. You notice as people are darting from shop to shop carrying their bags of groceries or deliveries for others, everyone walks with a sort of stiffness and almost a sort of like a shifting gaze. And you, from conversations that you can pick up as you're passing through, I mean, where do you think, does Sias have any particular place that they're looking to go, or are they just more of looking to take in the city?
Breakfast.
Oh, hell yeah, breakfast.
Yeah.
Ooh, do you have a usual spot that you always go to?
Yeah, actually. So, when Sias was younger and was traveling with his caretaker, Parasiphia, she would often stop at this local restaurant that was owned by a family, and eat from the daily bread there. And so he was thinking about making a stop by there, and see how they were doing. Usually, the mother would be running the place, and her children would be playing around. But as the years have gone by, obviously the mother, her youthful beauty, while still refreshing as is, has seen better, and he would assume that the children that he remembers so fondly are now teenagers, and he's quite excited to see how they are now. So he's marching right through and really imagining the taste of a good morning dough in his mouth.
Definitely. And as you take the very familiar route up to this, the small little kind of like hole in the wall breakfast nook where they're only open from like 6 to 1 p.m. and after that they're closed. And
yeah.
as you approach, you can see the son of the restaurant owner, Arsenius, a man who is taking over the family business for his aging mother. You see him boarding up the doors and the windows on this spot.
Sias calls out to Arsenius. Arsenius, long time no see. What's happening here?
And he
The way you said that of Sias calls out to Arsenius just sounded like something from like a New Testament biblical passage.
I'm here walking around like
Hark
Jesus.
ye and listen.
Yeah. Do you want me to do one you even better? Hail Arsenius. What is this madness?
And he turns around with sort of
I want
this,
my bread.
gosh darn it, gods be damned.
No, but
And-
Sias is concerned, yeah.
He, and he turns around and with like a look of delight on his face, and he says, "Oh, Sias, my friend, it is always too long since your last visit." And he opens his arms to extend a hug to you.
I embrace it, and it's like, put one up, all right? and we hug, and it's like, you've gotten taller since the last time I've seen you. But what's going on here? Like, why the boards and everything? Where's your mother?
And suddenly his face darkens, and you see the lines in his face, and you can clearly say that this is a man who has recently
Seen some shit.
He's seen some shit. The pools of heavy bags under his eyes, and he says, as he sort of strokes his goatee, it's been a strange thing that's been happening in the city lately. All of the water, the yeast, the grain, I'm not sure, but every time that we go to make our bread, we leave it out to rise overnight, and the next morning we come in, and it's like a rock. And I don't even mean like metaphorically, I mean literally. And if you, even with unleavened bread, it's like a sheet of granite. And it's not just us, it's every bakery. Bakeries all over the city have been closing down. And and what's breakfast without bread, without starch? And it's a tragedy. And we've been missing payments to the bank, and my mother.
What about your mother?
She's suddenly fallen ill. She's howling in pain with these cramps in her stomach that just don't cease. We've brought her to the Temple of Malady, but the healers, they're just completely overwhelmed. They have no idea.
Oh no. When has this happened? Like, is this only recent? Has this been going on long?
Well, we first started hearing about these first couple cases about a month ago, and it's just gotten worse. This whole western side of the city, people have just been complaining of these symptoms. It's a miracle that I haven't gotten sick yet.
It is. Afara blesses you. But I'm worried about the city. You said that your mother is at the temple. Is it alright if I go see her? Is she?
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring her a small bit of breakfast myself. In fact, let
me do that for you. I will deliver this to her. I feel like you have so much on your plate right now. It's the least I can do. How are you holding up? I mean, are you still able to afford rent on your shop? What about your friends?
Thankfully, we've been able, with the rest of the bakers here, we've been able to pull together and support people where we can, and things don't seem dire quite yet, but we will have to make some sort of appeals to the council, because, well, quite frankly, they haven't done much. Well, at least that we can see.
That sounds very troubling. You don't know if there's any investigations going on. What about
Oh, there's so much infighting.
There's always infighting. I will do what I can. I'm so sorry to hear about this. Give me the meal that you were planning to give to your mother. I will deliver this to her, and you can carry on with your other errands. and I'll send your word to her if you have any. It's the least I can do.
Oh, she'll be you'll be as the sun on her day. She will be absolutely thrilled to see you. And he passes off to you a small wicker basket, which you can smell inside. You know, there's a couple of hard-boiled eggs. You can smell some shrimp kofta and like grape leaves stuffed with some sort of, you know, with rice and doused in olive oil. And says, and of course, you always have a room at our house. You know this. You know the same old spot we've always been, right on the coast.
My stomach is growling at the smell. And it is just slightly audibly, but you know, he doesn't say anything and just grimaces a smile as he takes this meal.
I think there should be a check of some sort here. DM.
Succumb to temptation. And so you can accept this basket, and you know the city fairly well, so it's pretty easy to make your way. You know that at the sort of northern part of the city is where towards the gates where you enter in Miletus, through the land side. You know that there is this large temple complex where, of course, the largest and the most extravagant is, of course, dedicated to Afara. But you know that all of the gods, minus Phoenix, are represented here. And so, and especially as the Temple of Malady, it's definitely deemed as the hospital for Miletus, where it serves as both part function for alchemical experimentation and also as the beds for the sick and for healers to practice their arts. And so you wind your way through the city, and getting that same sort of kind of general unease that sort of sits heavy in the air.
I think what's going on inside his mind right now is sort of remembering the teachings of his caretaker Parasiphia, and how she taught her or taught him Afara's teachings about the necessities of a city and the necessities of the people and its infrastructures. It's one thing that Sias can't get his breakfast, but he extrapolates this to realizing like how the daily functions of everyday life are decaying away, and if a fraction of these people's livelihoods are gone, it would only be a matter of time before the rest of the city's infrastructure falls apart, with fewer people to defend the city, with the morale being low when, you know, the culture of even just the bread is gone, right? And there's no joy in living in a place where the only living that you're doing is just staying alive.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely, that feeling definitely is incredibly pervasive as you continue walking, and it feels as if, you know, as if it gets stronger the closer and closer you get to the temple, where you can almost feel like that sort of buzz of tension is so palpable in the air. And as you approach the steps of the temple, you can see that it's almost as if people avoid it. They don't, like, when people walk by, they don't look at it. And for those who do seem to be, like, pausing and standing there, there's almost a sort of look of menace.
That's strange. This is Farika's temple or Afara's temple? Farika's. All right. So can I make a religion check about Farika?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you,
All right.
definitely give you advantage because you are a devout boy.
Yep. All right. So I rolled a 16. What do I know
Nice.
about Farika?
So you know that she is represented in this sort of duality of life and death, where in one sense she is this healer, this life giver. She is a patron of physicians and doulas and about the bringing in the perpetuation of life. But also to her there is this darkness. There's the darkness of death, of affliction, disease, and it's that you know, it's definitely embodied in the sense that, you know, when you look at one plant and if you cut it one way and cure it one way, it can be healing, or if you use it in another way, it might kill someone. And that is Farika's essence. And so she is often given, she's definitely worshipped openly, particularly with like the sort of healing arts as that are revered, but she's also given a sort of respectful distance by a lot of people. Most people don't worship her, offer her prayer, like only if they're in trouble, you know. Most of the common people don't, you know, give her devotion in their sort of everyday
Just
life.
like real doctors.
Bro, I work
something
with real
essential.
doctors. There's a reason for that.
We're like nurses. And
Thank you.
so, and so when she has this this very strong duality about her, which makes her sort of a very complicated figure, especially within the life of a polis. And you would know that additionally that Afara, generally within like the myths and stories that are told, Afara has an appreciation of like, yeah, medicine is good. These things are good. You can't have a city and have a populace without a healthy population.
With
But
a
there's
healthcare plan.
Yeah, right. But it's also like the maybe you should stay over there though.
So is this like at the edge of the city then?
Yeah, it's definitely at like sort of the like towards the northern edge of the city.
That, from a city infrastructure standpoint, this doesn't make so. Sias has always wondered about this because this doesn't really make sense. And this actually came from his own martial training with Parasiphia, because Parasiphia gave Sias a thought experiment of, if you were to rob a bank, how soon would it take before the city guards arrived to stop you from robbing a bank? And this was an interesting question to Sias, because Sias realized that in order that the way that Afara has structured her cities or had built them was that key infrastructural points like your school systems, your banks, and your hospitals all had to be within a close proximity to the city guard, because if any one of those institutional locations were held hostage, it would endanger the lifeblood of the city. And so those all had to be close into Anesta Center. To see Farika's temple further away from the rest, Sias was a little bit perturbed about it.
Sias, or is Charles perturbed?
There's
Are
also
we really just having like a meta commentary on city planning right now?
So I've been watching a lot of I've been watching some videos about robbing banks, and it's
That's
really
not a red flag at all.
well, it was interesting. Well, the person was talking specifically about robbing banks, but I interpreted it and realized, like, oh wait, there's a lot of infrastructure that actually goes into it about the logistics that you can learn from a bank robber, because you end up learning about how a city is actually built. And so it wasn't that I learned about directly from a bank robber; it was more like I inferred it indirectly from it. But anyway, Sias was also thinking lessons from Parasiphia when they were going over a philosopher by the name of Aristotle about moderation, and how a medicine, too much of it can become a poison. And talking about the metaphysics of what is a medicine really, but just a label that we put on a poison to rid of something in the body. It is something that attacks the body in a way, is how Parasiphia had described it to Sias. And so Sias, in a way, can understand the trepidation of that people have towards Farika, because she is in some ways interpreted as the goddess of poisons. But her poisons are also used to heal others, and her patronage is solely to her product, but not to the people who use it. And so Sias, understandably now knows where this type of disdain is coming as he's approaching closer and closer to the temple. He can only forgive these people for their misunderstandings of of Ferica. He does not judge them harshly for it, but he is worried now about how the people will react to Ferica's temple. If the if the disease propagates longer, there might be a riot, and attacking such an important place that is a center of healing and people not realizing it is a city that will eat itself alive. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, he walks towards the temple.
And as you walk up these steps, you'll switch to Clay. So, from the churning magma heart of Mount Velis, from the coal-laden lungs, from the primal forces of Theros itself, Nikki was forged. The memories of being forged are vague at best, as if they were trapped behind soot-laden glass, and no matter how much you try to wipe away, there's always another layer obscuring them. What you remember best are the fragments of what Perforos, the god of the forge, and of creativity and of fire, spoke to you before releasing you beyond the great iron doors of his home. Forged of fire, iron, and metal, heart of valor, courage, and metal. Avenge, annex, and win the medal. For too long the Wrathbringer has meddled. And your wisps of memory float in your mind like the stubborn snowflakes of a snow globe that refuse to settle. You stand just inside the northern gates of Maidens, almost a year after you were forged. And in the time you've spent traveling from Mount Velis of the Catachan Mountains across down the Titan staircase and across the centaur-studded grasslands to the city on the sea, a city that opens up before you in the glistening morning light. So, Claybee, describe to us what Nikki Forest looks like and what their first action is, having just arrived in Maidens.
So Nikki Foros, like you talked about, is it a feat? I don't actually know the description, like a special class. I don't know what the terminology is for Anvil Rot.
It's like a heroic destiny
Something like
background
that.
thing. It's in place of the background that you would normally pick for D&D.
Sure. Okay. So basically, the idea, right? Created by the God of the Forge. So Nikiforos is a minotaur that has a quite an absolute tank. They rolled very well. So Nikiforos is what did it end up being? 6'5", 290. So you
Big
have this
boy.
like massive, you have this massive reddish minotaur that has like a metallic sheen over their skin. So basically, like you can see at the joints, you can actually see the god's mechanical contraptions that allow them to move and fight and do things, right? So there's this normally over like the rest of the flesh of their skin, but like you have these mechanical bits here and there, along with that general sheen. So, stepping into Maidens, like I'm assuming this is also morning time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're
Yeah.
doing this? Okay. So like Nikiforos is going to catch attention for more ways than one, right? So like first of all, you just have this absolute beef slab.
But
just like striding in.
I was gonna say something really clever, and
A slab
I don't
of
have
cow.
anything. There's just nothing else to be said.
Yeah, so they are a minotaur. We'll correct that on the overlay.
Yeah, the overlay.
But yeah, so you have this just giant minotaur, chainmail, giant maul on the back, like kind of like walking into the gates, kind of just like shining into the morning sun as like they come through the gate. The sun hits them, and if you're staring directly at them, it's going to be a little uncomfortable maybe for like a moment until your eyes adjust. And walking into the city, their first goal is going to find the if there's an arena, if there's not an arena, a gymnasium, making sure that they know where the best odds of a little friendly competition is going to be within the city limits. They don't have need of breakfast or drink, being a construct of sorts. So they're looking to they've been on the road. And yeah, you run into a couple bandits, you run into a couple monsters maybe, but there's nothing like good competition. And so they're looking for they're looking for a little head-to-head combat.
Definitely looking for something a little bit more challenging. And so as you head into the city, you can see that the first thing that welcomes you is this sort of Miletus being a very circular city that's centered in this bay. Let me adjust.
I just got. Sorry, I just
go
got
ahead.
The mental picture of. I just got the mental picture of Nikki Forrest walking in circles around the city, the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, unable to navigate the city. And just
the irony.
If we ever get to like really late game levels, so super high levels, I'm just waiting for the moment where Sage casts Labyrinth on Nikki Forrest. Oh my god.
It's a reference,
bitches.
guys.
Let's go. And so the stepping in through these northern gates, the first thing you see are these huge and very dominating, mostly white temples of these large cathedrals that overlook the rest of the city. The city of Miletus being sort of a stepped city that generally slopes downward into the docks at the bottom, where there's the Bay of Miletus, where ships flow in and out of, where there's a lot of fishing and sailing and everything. And so in this first sort of ring that circles the city are these, mostly sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Municipal buildings of these churches that sort of overlook everything. And you can see that off to the western half of the city is this, probably one of the largest structures in the city, is this large arena. Sort of combat arena that stands with these Corinthian columns.
Sweet, I'm headed right there. Just a line.
What are Corinthian columns? I don't think that's in universe. I don't know what you're talking about.
They
All
are...
right, Charles brings up bank robbing and videos, but I can't mention.
columns.
In world, we call videos and movies puppet shows. That's our venture made it fun. So you saw the anyway.
We have fun around here.
And so Nikki Forrest immediately just starts beelining it right there. And of course, do you think that they are naturally aware of how other people perceive them or look at them, or do they not give a fuck? Or
It's not that
been?
It's not.
Sorry,
that
go
they,
ahead.
It's like it's not like they don't give a fuck what people think, but rather that they don't register so much, right? Like in the context of combat or something, they're aware of their size and like that, right? But like in the midst of a crowd, they're not gonna just like run through people, but they're not gonna
Right.
have the right. Like they're not just gonna like plow through everybody, but they don't have the self-awareness to like recognize if other people are staring at them.
But also
like,
maybe
okay.
get out of the way if you're in this dude's path, right? Like,
Maybe, yeah, but like, and also they don't have so they don't have that self-awareness, and they don't recognize, like, they don't look around and realize that there's no other Minotaur constructs walking around.
Right.
You know,
Don't-
like that kind of bit. So like, I'm one of one, but that doesn't really register to me. So,
Yeah.
if that answers it.
Yes, it does. And so as you continue beelining away, oblivious to all the people who might be staring or whatever, you're like, I've got destination in mind. That's where we're going. And, mindfully making your way there. And so as you do so, you can see that the doors to this gymnasium. The gime. What's a gime? Oh, a gime.
Okay.
Sorry, sentence reference.
That's a great one.
That took me way too long to register what you were saying.
ADD brain.
Oh my
So
gosh.
as you make your way in, and these large double doors that welcome you into this large gymnasium stand open, and you just hear the whistle of a breeze coming from inside. It seems oddly quiet. You're in the gymnasiums that you've been in before. You've heard the sounds of clanging metal, of weights being picked up or dropped, the sounds of grunts of frustration, or of wrestling, or coaches shouting at their athletes. Those noises aren't there. But the doors
So
stand open.
I mean, I'm definitely going in. That's not maybe Maidens is slow to wake. I don't know. maybe they don't hit the gym early in the morning. But yeah, so they're gonna go right in through the doors to find out what is there and what's going on.
And so as you step inside, it's this sort of like ovular structure where you can see that there are signs pointing into like the arena, and signs locating for where people can go and sit within the Coliseum sittings. And you can see that there is a sign that points you off to the right, to like the sort of like athletes area where there's like the actual training grounds and locker rooms, and like you see the sign for like the manager's office.
So I'm gonna, I guess, approach the athletes area first. I'm more interested in fellow competitors than administrators or instructors.
Fair.
I can't hit them. I'm not supposed to hit them. I guess those are better.
And so as you push open this door that swings open easily, and you can see, just a couple of people who they appear to be doing their like morning routine of calisthenics. It's just two human people, going about their workout drenched in sweat. You can see one of them is a younger woman in her early 20s. She's got her hair in these thin braids pulled back into a very neat bun on the top of her head, and she's with an older man who appears to be, giving the routine that she's been doing. A man who he is missing the latter half of his right forearm. You see, he's got a couple of big scars across his face, and what appeared to be like almost like as if he had taken a huge rake of claws across his chest. But a man who still stands in very good physical condition. And so they sort of see you enter, and they kind of give you a look, a glance, but continue about as nothing strange is happening.
So there's just the two people in there right now,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I would like to go around and like see what's available as far as like equipment, and kind of like half-heartedly pick up some of the weight. You know what I mean? Like just like checking out what all they got, as I'm kind of like just like making my way around the room just out of curiosity. Because again, like their look's not going to register to me. like I see
Right,
them.
yeah.
I see them look at me, but like I'm not going to pay any attention to the fact that like how they're going to view me or what that impression's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm just going around like half-heartedly picking stuff up, putting it down, like maybe trying to bend one of the bars a little bit, just see how much gives it's got. Like,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And you can see that
Yeah.
these are definitely well-loved, like, sets of weights and, training. You can tell how much I work out. But yeah, you can see very, very well-loved, but also well-maintained, like, sort of exercise equipment with, like, the heavy medicine balls and, like, big barbells and weights and everything. And eventually, as you're kind of, like, going through and testing things, eventually you see that the older man, he approaches you and he says, "Well, are you looking to start a new membership here, or are you looking to compete?" The name's Hesiod. What's your name?
Nikki Foros, and I just arrived to compete. I don't know how long I'll be here.
Oh,
Where's
well,
your champion? just straight to the point. Where is your champion?
That's a very, like, Pokemon trainer, gotta go straight for the gym leader attitude.
Yeah.
out there.
Roll for
fuck all these
intimidation.
other scrubs. Take me to your later. And he gestures to this young woman. He says, "Well, here she is. She's the finest we've got, and we are looking at sending her to the Rowan Games to be happening in Listies within a few weeks. Think you can
Terrific.
take her?"
I hope so. I also plan to be at these games.
He gives you a nod, and he goes, "Well, what events do you like to compete in? Are you a wrestler? Are you a runner? And he kind of, and you can tell that he's like definitely giving you the once over, like trying to figure out what exactly is happening here.
I kind of like snort laugh, and just like, no running.
This is a character I can vibe with.
Yeah.
Right? Fuck cardio.
We're
no,
gonna be
as,
in good company.
Do we have Josh here in this chat?
I am a wrestler.
Oh, good, awesome. I bet you got a solid center of gravity on there. Well, do you need to warm up? I'm sorry.
I need no warm up.
He goes, uh-huh.
Maybe just some oil.
Does your champion?
Well, why don't we go to the ring?
I'm just thinking I was forged in the fires of Perforos. I do not need to warm up any further.
I am warm with the cosmic heat of the plains. Like, okay.
I'm imagining like a deep bellowing voice, like Borborigmo style, very brusque words of like, "Your champion, take me to them." It's like, "Do you need a
Champion, where?
it's like, "Do you need a warm up?" It's like, "No." That's it.
That's definitely what I'm trying to go for, despite the fact that my voice sounds nothing like that, and the way I talk is nothing like that.
Role playing.
Also trying to give Sage some things to work with, and not just be like, no.
No, you're good. You're good. And so, with that, he kind of like nods slowly, and he looks over to this young woman, and he says, "Euphalia, why don't we take it to the ring?" And she very obediently stands up and follows, and he will lead you both in towards a dirt wrestling arena. And we'll stand at the edge, and we'll say, "All right, each contestant take your mark. You can each stand in your position, ready to grapple."
Canonically, there's Pokemon battle music playing right now.
And what we are going to do is both of us are going to roll initiative. So, roll a d20 for me and add your dexterity.
Ready.
Something,
Oh, wow.
don't split the party.
It's never a party to begin with.
Right.
That
Claybee
is a
must
3.
face the gazebo alone.
What was that, Clay?
A 3?
A 3. Nice. So
If
you got a 4.
I understand the 2 plus 1, yes. Oh wow. Neither of us are willing to fight. Apparently, we're.
She seemed like
Nobody's very thrilled about this encounter.
You can sense, like, even without your, like, general sort of awareness of people as you're walking around, I definitely can imagine as an athlete, you kind of learn to read people's body language. And so as
Sure.
she's, like, you know, setting and standing in the ring, you can definitely sense that there is, like, that sort of, like, hesitation to her body language.
I don't know that I like 100% recognize it as like apprehension, just because everyone that I have ever wrestled with, and quite a few people that because I didn't like have that like growing up being small and then getting to my height, right? Like I came out at this height.
Yeah.
And so like I've always just been the monster, you know. So I don't know if like I recognize the like kind of jittery, but like that's just in my head what people look like before they wrestle.
Yeah, and so yeah, that definitely makes sense. And so you definitely take notice of this, and we're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And so, but with that, you can see that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna for each round, we'll go back and forth, and we'll roll opposing grappling checks. And so you'll roll you'll roll a d20, add your strength plus your proficiency. I'm assuming you're proficient in athletics. So then you'll add your
Yes.
Yeah, so then you'll add your strength and your proficiency bonus to your d20 roll, and whoever's going to get the higher one is going to get the upper hand. And so, and with that, you can use that to like try and maneuver one of them into to get the upper hand, so that you can maneuver them so that you can get them into a pin. And then if you have them in a pin at the start of your turn, that you can sort of try and like maneuver. We'll make words are hard. We'll make another opposed grapple check to see if you can actually like get a lock on them and get them to tap out. So it'll be interesting because you are
Good luck.
a construct. I would say though that if your limbs, I think it makes sense to me that if your limbs did get locked, that wouldn't maybe necessarily. I mean, would you like register that as uncomfortable?
I think like through like treading through different gyms, right? They had to figure out ways to incorporate like to work with me, and so like the system that I've mostly adapted is the if I'm like restrained, it's a point against me. If like I can't just if the limb is locked or something, like if I'm in a hold and I get put into that, then that's like a point versus because like I don't breathe and I have like
Yeah, so you're like,
there's
yeah,
a lot
you're
of
not,
points that are like tricky
you're definitely not going to get choked out, but you can definitely recognize within the mechanics of your body, if you get into a lock that you can't get out of, like, you know, you've lost that. It's, you know, you've probably have learned to when to tap out.
I don't know how much UFC you all have consumed, but if you are familiar enough with it, you would know that Joe Rogan frequently commentates UFC fights. And so in my head, as this is going on, there's just Joe Rogan, like,
Fucking Joe Rogan.
just like nonsensically screaming on the sidelines about what's going on.
I'm imagining in like old WWE like Raw, where like there's just someone's going to come out from behind one of the pillars or columns with like a chair just going to attack Nikki Boros. and
The clatters uselessly.
like in the depth, like
yeah, and then the old man suddenly, you know, gets off of his limp and he's like, "Oh my God, they brought the chair!"
the chair hits, and then like Nikki Boros does the cane like head toss back and like turns around, and it's like, yeah, no, we could definitely do this WWE style.
I mean, fun fact. I did actually study like jiu-jitsu and tung sudo, so I can grapple people.
Nice.
Sick.
So yeah, so with that, you recognize this sort of usual sort of jitteriness within your combatants, and she does eager to prove her worth, she does make the first move, and you can see that she immediately, judging by, you're probably very tall, you can see that she is immediately going in for for the waist, for a waist grab, to try and immediately knock you down to the ground, which will be, albeit, difficult. So let's go ahead and roll those.
Alright, and I'm using
contested grapples.
the strength number on the top, right? Not the saving throw modifier, right? So there's like the strength, which is a plus thing, and then there's a different box that's saving throw modifiers. Sorry.
Right, it's the plus thing. Yeah, so like what's
Okay.
your strength score again?
19.
Yeah, so you'll have the plus 4.
Plus 4. Okay, cool.
Wow.
And it's plus the athletics as well, right?
Yeah, so whatever your athletics bonus is, add that to your d20 roll.
Sweet. So I have a 17.
Nice. So yeah, you see she's going in for the waist hug to try and get you down onto the ground, but like she goes nowhere. On her turn,
Right,
she's
so-
basically just standing there and like is unable to budge you.
Yeah, it's basically like seeing her come in, right? They just like slide their left leg back just a tiny bit, and so the leverage then so that she just hits and nothing happens as they're planted like that. Yeah.
All right, so then we go to your turn, and then how is it that you would like to like counteract this? What does it look like?
So, I think they want to like trying to think of like basically just like because she's still holding them at the waist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they want to just like reach down and try to like take a upward position and just like fall on her to the like to just like drop her to the ground and like with arms around the midsection.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll our grapples. Oh, that's better. She got an 18.
That's a 12.
Ooh,
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
and so as you go and you try to reach around and grab her and try to basically just kind of like, push her onto the ground, she twists her arm like behind your leg and weaves out behind, and you see that you can feel that she's going to make a maneuver to try and to grab your arm and like put it into a lock. And so we'll make those rolls again as we go back to her turn.
She's
Alright.
like the $1 million baby.
She's
So
the
I got the-
champion.
I got a 27.
Did you
Oh,
crit?
shit.
No, but I have plus 10 with strength and athletics.
Damn.
Lord.
Damn.
Jesus
Yeah, and
Christ.
you immediately feel this and recognize this immediately, and she got a natural 1, and she's just like,
Oh no!
Oh, man.
she feels so out of her depth.
Here come the stone cold stunner.
And so as we go back to your turn, you can definitely get advantage as she is just completely caught off guard, and you know exactly what maneuver she's going for.
Right. So she's trying to grab like an arm bar from behind, like
Yeah,
take
yeah,
the
basically.
arm,
So
like-
as you're kind of like kneeled over with your arms over her
Right.
waist, and she swims over and it's like takes your arm and is like looking to put it in an arm bar behind you.
All right. So what they're gonna try to do is like once she catches is to like use the strength of that arm still and roll forward and bring her over their head into like again just
That is
like
so
slam her
metal.
into the ground.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So you're definitely gonna get advantage. So you're gonna roll 2 d20s or roll one twice and take the higher result.
Alrighty, yeah. So we got a 26.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got her. Yeah, as you do this maneuver, and I'll say like easily, she immediately like as you put her in this position, she had not seen coming whatsoever, and you feel the very familiar sort of like tap on your body to be like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm out.
And then so they're gonna immediately like be up and be like scooping her up to her feet and placing her, like, placing her on her feet and just like, well done. Like, just, I don't, like, well, well done.
Game.
Do you require medical assistance? Like,
She says, "No, I'm okay, but if you can let go of me now, though."
This is an oddly,
Very well.
strangely
Just like-
kind and courteous Minotaur.
And she extends out a hand for a handshake after the end of your at the end of your match.
yeah,
And
they'll take it with their giant paw of a hand. Like,
Yeah, her hand is just so like probably like the size of like your palm is as you shake.
right, yeah.
And the trainer looks at you and goes, "Well, that's pretty good. You should our team has definitely, as strong as they are, has been dwindled down by whatever is running its course through the city. I'm guessing by
Is
the
it a
looks of it.
monster?
I wish that would be easier fought. No, it's this sickness that's spelled everyone except for Euthalia here.
Where are the healers?
Well, they're, eyes deep in shit right now, basically trying to heal half the damn city. God's hoping that, he kind of looks up to the sky and says, may Farika, bless them with her healing waters, but kind of worried.
Farika is fickle. But I
Oh,
hope she will assist.
Indeed. She's an interesting that one, but if you're looking for some work while you're here in the city, the temple's run into the Temple of Malady, Farika's temple, has run into some trouble. I know that they might be looking for some muscle to keep the people away who would see that temple harm.
I have muscle. I will go and see.
Yeah, make sure to come back here to train. I think you might be just a ticket for the games coming up in a few weeks. We'll talk.
Yes. Tell your champion it is no shame.
He looks at Euthalia and she nods and says, "It would be an honor to compete with you again."
I want to say that they give a thumbs up, but like I don't know if that actually works character-wise. But I want to like just like and then like leave, just like thumbs up and then leave.
Yeah, it's like the Terminator, right?
Yeah.
And yes,
more or
you can
less.
can head out
Yep.
and make your way to the temple. And that will bring us to Lenny.
All right. I'm ready for this.
Oh yeah. So, Lenny, I feel like Tilos has been in the city for a bit. You've been working with a group of characters, a syndicate that you know as the Bad Actors Troupe. You've seen their sort of true faces, these people who are worshippers of Phoenix, and you know that Phoenix is not someone who is worshipped openly, except in very particular parts of Theros, this god of deception, of very, very much a trickster figure within the Theran pantheon. And so, your last job with them had some mixed feelings, we'll say. But in the midst of your mid-morning routine, what is it that Tilos is doing? What do they look like, and what do we find them as they're amidst their morning routine?
All right. So the people of the markets of Melitus would see a very light, sandy-colored leonin with a nice, luxurious mane, wearing what looks to be like a kind of leather plate barely obscured by a black and blue sash, also a loincloth similarly colored. What's very striking and noticeable about this Leonin is that he has a red mark going across his left eye, kind of covering about like a third of his face. It looks to be as if somebody had taken like a bunch of rust and just smeared it on his face. And then there's a similar pattern that looks like it comes all the way down his arm. The more observant people in the markets of Theros would notice that Tilos, on his way through the markets, managed to swipe a few figs for his early morning breakfast.
Oh man. And and you see this, and as you're going through the marketplace, figs in hand, you see this very familiar figure, a human man who has sort of kind of like a fair skin and a smile that twists his angular features the way a politician twists the truth. And you know this individual to be none other than the head of the bad actors troupe, Graves Crawley. And you see him skulk over towards you, and he says to you, "Listen, I know we might have had some heated words last time, but I think we can both agree that, you kinda owe us one."
I feel like that's quite a stretch. I definitely feel like I performed above and beyond in the last job and certainly earned the larger share that I took. I mean, sure, it may have left some of the others without a share, but hey, it is what it is. Equal pay, equal work.
I mean, in order to get the equal pay, you gotta be kinda in the guild, but, I'm willing to look it over this time if you help us out with another job that I think you might be suited for.
I'm listening.
Well, as things have gotten a little dicey in Maidens lately, and well, quite frankly, I'm sick of hearing all these devotees to Faria and to Faria and everyone else being like, oh, maybe Faria and Phoenix. It's probably Phoenix who's probably doing this and, ruining everyone's thing. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Anyway, so one of our actors here has been apprehended for questioning, and from what I hear, from one of my informants, is that later today they're planning on administering them a truth serum, one of Faria's specialties, in order to divulge whether or not agents of Phoenix might be involved. So that's not in our interest, which is certainly not in your interest, considering what we've just accomplished, and so I would love your assistance in rescuing them, let's just say.
Okay. Well, I mean, I definitely can relate to your situation. Definitely feel absolutely tired about devotees of various gods.
Tell me about it. Drama queens, am I right?
Yeah.
They just don't understand
You know
how
what, though?
pointless it all is.
I'll spare you the trouble, and I won't tell you all about it.
Oh, thank you.
So, let's talk about compensation, because you know I do not work for free.
Yeah, you are an expensive contract. Well, I mean, are we just looking for the same old gold price, or are we trying to get something else out of this?
Let's just go with the same old gold price. This seems like an easy job.
Yeah, it's a temple. They're a bunch of sick people. What are they gonna do? Sneeze on us? And he gives this look like,
I don't even know if I can catch the human diseases.
That's a good point. I never even thought about that. Well, all the better for me to hire you then. See, we work so
Oh.
well together.
Sure. So, one final question. You mentioned that it wouldn't be good in our interest. I just want to make sure we're on the same page on this. Do the devotees of Phoenix have anything to do with this?
And you see they look at you with a sort of like flat smile, and they say, "Why would we go around making people sick? That doesn't seem very, well, quite frankly, that's not very profitable for us if people are dying.
Fair.
Plus, where's the fun
Alright.
in stealing from a dead person?"
Yeah, that is true. It is not fun, although it is occasionally convenient. Not really much of a challenge, though.
Exactly. Well, let's, I'll let you finish your breakfast here and, have a little something on me. And he flicks to you a gold coin. Says, listen, meet me in an hour at the Temple of Malady, and we'll scope out the place.
Alright, sounds good. Out of respect, I will also try to pickpocket him on the way out.
Fucking right you are.
Go ahead, give me that sleight of hand check.
Out of
Yeah.
respect.
It's a 22.
God damn.
And so, what is Tilos's move as they go to make, try and pickpocket someone? Like, what's their MO?
Definitely something to create some kind of distraction. His whole thing is to kind of mess with people's perception to try to see if they can really see what they're trying to do. So in the case of this one, I'm gonna actually toss a fig when I'm like almost sideways to him and be like, "Here, they're delicious." And at the moment that I notice his attention is on the fig as he tries to catch it, I'm going to snake a single coin from him.
And as
Out
as
of
you,
respect.
out of
Out
respect,
of
of course.
respect.
And as you toss this fig and you go for the move, you've practiced this 100 times. It is rote to you. But you see, he snatches out a hand with lightning speed. It snatches this fig out of the air, and the other one immediately darts for the hand that's going for the gold. And he looks down at the hand, and his eyes slowly trail up and meet yours, and he goes, "Out of respect."
I will just nod and point and walk away.
Somebody lost a contested roll, I see.
And he tosses the fig back at you and
What's
gives
the,
you
what's
a
the phrase
wink.
in what's the phrase in the second John Wick movie? Consider this a professional courtesy.
Absolutely. And so, you enjoy breakfast. Of course, there's no bread within the city, which does put perhaps a bit of a damper, but you do get to enjoy the usual other offerings that Miletus has of amazing figs, like freshly fried up and prepared falafel, and
Yes.
just these rich scents of these spices that fill the marketplace. And an hour goes by, and you rendezvous, and so standing outside, off to the right, you can see that Graves here with a couple of accomplices, two people that you would recognize. One of a dark-skinned woman by the name of Desma, and and what appears to be and who is her twin brother, Ophelos, and can slide your way over. And
Alright.
they give you the nod of recognition.
Morning. Hope all is well.
And they, Desma and Aphelos don't really say anything. You recognize them as their sort of communication is basically an exchange of glances between the two of them, but they also they do sign language in order to communicate, and which has made them very, very valuable within the industry of thieving. As if you don't have to speak, it's a lot easier to be quiet.
Yeah, I definitely respect that. Then Tilos very thinks that they're the coolest people,
And they
and
okay, ahead.
yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say there. Sorry.
Oh, good, yeah, and they've definitely have gone through and they've taught you a couple signs, at least the basics of like stop, go this way, that way, and so you started to pick some up. But when the two of them are going back and forth within conversation, it's just like it looks a blur of hand gestures to you.
All right. My natural proclivities are I'm going to try to watch it and get distracted with it because I kind of want to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Until I get pulled out of my reverie by actually having to work.
Absolutely. And that brings us to Callahan. You are being led to this first victim who has been turned to stone, and the woman, she leads you off towards this one room that is locked, and you can see that there are two guards standing out in front of. And she gives a nod to both of these individuals. These individuals who are clad in sort of this black, understated leather armor with these hints of green and brass all around it. And you can see the symbol of Faria very subtly emblazoned on the over the left side of their body. And she opens up this door, which leads into this bare room. And on a bed, you can see this old woman whose wrinkles are, you can see that the crack of wrinkles underneath the stone, who is extending out this hand in this sort of gesture. And this woman who appears completely as a statue on this bed with next to her on a bedside table, you see a jug of water, some leftover food, a plate, and not much else. And you see this woman, she just heaves this heavy sigh, and she kneels next to the foot of this bed, and she sort of takes the extended stone hand of this woman and says, I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can perceive anything, but I promise that we are doing everything we can. And you see a tear run down her cheek. And she looks to you and beckons you into the room and says, "This appears to be the natural course of the disease."
And so is she like full on stared straight at the Gorgon, like
Yeah.
statue gone?
Yeah.
Okay. I look at the woman and I my head just kind of like falls, and I go, when did this happen?
It's slow in its progression. Over the course of 2 weeks, it gradually, the stone starts at the fingertips, at the toes, and just works its way up the body. And I'm the only one here who has the power in order to magically cure diseases, but I have been doing it every day, and every day the stone creeps farther and farther up her body. There's something here that I am missing, and I don't know what it is, and I am at my wit's end.
Can I Can I? Here's what I think I'm going to do. Is I think what I'm going to do is I walk forward in the room and I kind of place my hand on her shoulder because she's like bent over, right?
Yeah, she's kneeling on the ground next to the bed.
Yeah, and I just kind of place my hand on her shoulder, and then with my other arm, I extend out and let the snake kind of slither onto the body and check things out.
Yeah. Why don't you give me a medicine check?
Yeah. Ooh, not very good.
Oh, so go ahead and give it to me with advantage.
With advantage? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's better. So with that, I get 19.
Okay, so and as the snake is like weaving its way over this woman's body, and you can almost feel these sensations in yourself, and as taking in all of this information, seeing the scene, hearing the symptoms that she described before, and this definitely calls to mind the affliction of when someone, of when someone gets turned to stone from a gorgon or from a basilisk or from, other creatures who possess that ability to turn to stone. But knowing that this woman who appears to be the high priest of this temple, if her magic isn't curing her, there must be something else that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, do I have to speak out loud to talk to the snake, or does it,
No, you can speak
just think it?
telepathically.
Okay, can I ask the snake if it knows anything about this?
And you hear in response, "This appears to be the work of an imposter. Someone who seeks to imitate our dear Lady Farika. But
There's an imposter among us.
Sus."
All right, and with that, on that terrible disappointment, I'm trying to. So I know I don't have any ability that could do anything for this, but can I just put both of my hands on this like statue at this point, and then just I don't know, try to use any form of goodwill or magic that I feel like I might have in try to bring this person back.
Yeah.
I don't have an ability that I can do that with, but
Sure, yeah, I feel you though. Roll me a percentile. So the D10s with the 10s and the ones.
It's the one with the double digits on them.
okay.
Yeah, the one with the double digits and one with the singular digits. And
20%. I got a 20.
And so as you extend your goodwill and your power into this woman to try and to reach in and to reverse this, to understand, and for the slightest second, you feel the sensation of water dripping down your throat. Something you've never experienced, but you know. It's like the trickling of water, of cool water, down your throat.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Charles,
Um,
you are walking up these Sias, you're walking up these steps with your wicker basket in hand. And as you step into the Temple of Melody, the first thing that greets you is this long rectangular hallway in which dozens of writhing snakes, and you see people who are, the priests of Farrakhan, who are, donned in these black and green and brass sort of colored robes, who are rushing around with tonics and tinctures, and they pay you absolutely no mind as you step in, and they, the occasional priest will give you a half glance and continue about their business. And you know that you can see that there is a sign that off to the right which reads the wards for the sick, and then off to the left you can see that there are signs for rooms where there is the pharmacological rooms and alchemical rooms for experimentation. And as you can weave off to the right, you can see that there is a lone woman who is donned in these robes of Farrakhan's colors, and she looks to you with your basket in hand, and she says, "Oh, are you here to see someone? Is there someone here specific that you would like to see, or?"
Yeah, I'm looking for. I don't have a name for the mother, but that person. Yeah,
Xanthabe.
Xanthabe. I'm looking for Xanthabe. Is she? Is she here? I've come to deliver food from her son. I heard that she was not well, and is resting here.
And you see her shoulders kind of slump, and she says, "Oh, well, come with me." And she leads you into this room, which you can see that are flanked by two guards, but the door is open, and inside you see this merfolk-looking individual whose skin reflects the cosmos above. A high priestess kneeling at the bedside of a woman, and a snake crawling over a stone statue of a woman. And she says, "We found her like this morning. We've yet to tell Arsenius. We know it would just kill him."
It's already taken one too many lives. Sias gently sets the wicker basket down and walks over. I have a question. How well does he know about the Nyxborn? Is this an unusual sight for him, or is this something that he's heard of and read of from his religious background? Or is this something that's just common every day?
The Nyxborn are definitely kind of like 1 in 1,000. They definitely exist. There are definitely very much stories about them. So you've probably seen 1 or 2 in your life, but you're definitely familiar with them in like an academic sense of knowing that there are lots of stories of Nyxborn heroes who were plucked from the force of the gods and have gone on to do great conquest and
Okay.
achieve great feats.
All right. Sias walks up with. Sias is mixed with both feelings of awe and sadness. It's kind of difficult to wrestle both of them at the same time. On one end, he is astonished to see a Nyxborn in the room and almost feels like a sense of curiosity and an excitement of this, a rare experience to encounter one. But at the same time, he's lost someone who was a dear component of his past,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a mixture of those two feelings, and he doesn't know how to even approach the body of someone that he's that he grew up eating her meals next to a scion of the gods, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's walking with trepidation, but as he approaches, he tries to find the words in himself, to say to the stone statue of his former friend, um, to be visited by Farrakha's uh, own messenger. At least you were someone special. I'm sorry I could not get a chance to say goodbye. And he looks over to the Nyxborn, and he uh, I don't know if he's making eye contact with her or not, but
She's still, I would say she is still very like trying to focus her energy on this like
Okay.
dead body and very like zeroed in on this.
Okay. So Sias, not sure if she is completely zoned out or in a trance, does not want to disrupt that, and so speaks to one of the clerics in the robes and asks, did Farrakha send a Nyxborn here to investigate this disease? Is this something unnatural? Is this something that calls for the higher powers that be to intervene?
And as you ask this woman to the woman who had led you into this room, you see her eyes almost glaze over in a trance momentarily, as she sort of, like touches the side of your bicep very delicately, and it's as if there is another voice that you can hear from her as she says, "Family is forged in bronze and blood, and the child of the world is the child of the gods. The harbinger of justice will speak truth to the greater powers. The spirit of the polis is not nearly contained within its towers." And then she kind of blinks out, and she kind of shakes her head, and she says, "I'm sorry, can you repeat that?"
Sias is a little bit taken aback, but he pretends as if she didn't do anything weird, and politely just asks the same question again, and is, what's going on here? Did Farrakha visit herself? Is this Nyxborn? Is this like a cause of alarm? It seems like this is, if Farrakha has to send a Nyxborn to her temple, there must be something nefarious at hand here. Something.
I hear you saying this, and I turn around
No.
and I look at you and I say, I don't know why I'm here, but I do know that something nefarious is happening.
Sias thinks to himself for a moment. In his mind, Sias is now going over recent events about everything that he has just corresponded with. I forgot what was her son's name. It started with an A. It was
I don't even know this lady,
Arsenius.
and I want to like cry. I'm like really sad.
Yeah, it was he's going over his conversation with Arsenius this morning, thinking about the time in which, his mother was admitted to the temple, and the outcome of this and everything that has happened as of now, and he's trying to think, because the first thing that he goes to his mind is that this isn't necessarily a natural cause anymore. If it was something that was natural, this could have been easily dealt with by the will of the gods. But instead, if the gods themselves are intervening on this matter, it means that there is a conspiracy going on, that either there's infighting amongst the pantheon, or there is someone who's looking to usurp. And by that same end of that spectrum, someone must profit from this loss. And Sias is now recollecting within the city who could stand to benefit from this? Like what has happened in the past few weeks that has caused this thing to change? And he remembers a tale from Persifia about a village that recently began development. It stood near a population of wolves that he remembered this tale, and only until recently the village had an issue where flocks of their sheep were going missing each night, and there was a wolf problem. The village answered the problem by exterminating the wolves, but the lesson to this was the realization that the wolves were only hunting the sheep because the village had begun development in their own territory, pushing them outside of that territory. It is in this way there is a cause and effect, and something is causing this infestation to grow, much in the way of the wolves. And it seems that Farrakha's people are pinned for the blame, but there's something more amiss if Farrakha has to respond to this as well.
And with that, we're gonna slide to Claybee, who is now marching up the steps of the Temple of Malady.
just like 1 foot ahead of another, just like
looking
for the first person that looks like they work at the temple, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like regular people, but none of them matter.
Yeah.
Like if there's work, I want to speak to the person who has the work. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
The people in the steps don't have work for me.
Yeah, so marching of the steps, stepping inside, and you see this image as described before, and you can immediately recognize that the people who work here, the clerics, the alchemists, the worshippers and devotees of Farrakha, and you can immediately, snag one of these individuals in these green and black and bronze robes.
I want to actually kind of snag them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the back, like the rope, right? Like they're running past, everybody's busy, and I just kind of pinch the back of the robe, and they stop moving, right? Like I'm just holding them in place for a moment, and then kind of gently guide them back.
Hello, human.
Yeah.
Greetings.
Just pulling them back and just being like, I hear you have need of protection.
And this woman who is just she has this large tray of just water and everything, and she's just a little bit startled as she the backs of her robe are pulled forward, and she whirls around and she's like, are you sick? Wait, no, you're not Stone. Wait, I'm sorry. What can I do for you?
It's you're not Stone. Yeah. So they're just gonna look down at her and just be like, "Oh, what's the trainer's name at the gymnasium?"
It
I don't think
was.
we got a name for
It was Phil, obviously.
It was Hesiod.
man.
Hesiod.
Hesiod.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Hesiod. There we go. Because there's Hesiod and Eulalia, right?
Euthalia. Yeah.
Euthalia. Okay. Yeah. So basically, they're just Hesiod said you had need of protection.
Oh, he did send you. Oh, good. I was hoping he was able to send a couple of. She gives you kind of a look. Able-bodied people who could sort of keep an eye on the temple especially during at night, because
Good.
we've
I do not sleep.
Oh. Even better. That's fantastic. And she kind of she leans in, which is basically to your sternum, because she's about 5'3". This small human woman with these sort of buns that are perched up, double buns that are perched up on the top of her head, and she pushes up her glasses on her nose and she says, "Well, we've really had a problem because I've heard, I have to change out of my robes when I leave here because people have started harassing me, and other clerics and other people here, other, devotees of Farrakha, they have started, yelling at us and kind of pushing us around. And I'm like, hey man, I'm just trying to do my job just the same as everyone else. Like, I'm just trying to heal people. But they're like, no, you like have totally started like inflicting this disease and it's all your fault because you all do these crazy alchemical concoctions. And I'm like, I'm just a nurse and it's a lot. And I'm just, so if you can, I'm sorry.
Man, this is like really on the nose.
This is my favorite character. This is my favorite NPC right now. She kind of reminds me of a character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like I'm imagining, like Julie or something like that.
This is
Oh,
like
I
people
love
I
Julie.
work with.
And
just like-
there's no response on their face. Like they're
Right.
listening, like just like looking, but there's no like
Yeah.
Yes, can't help.
sympathizing emotional response of just like listening until she's finished.
Oh yeah, she's not even looking at you. She's like half looking at, like half kind of staring off into like blank space on the ground, and she's just like, and you know, I have heard that maybe there might be something like a riot or vandalization or destruction. I don't really know, but a couple of bad actors might be looking to mess with our fucking place of work. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. It's a lot. She pushes up her glasses again. So it would be great if you could keep an eye on the place overnight since you don't have to sleep, which is great. That's so great for you. I wish I didn't have to sleep. That would save me a lot of tonics.
It is very convenient.
If anything happens to this character in the story, I am going to drive to San Francisco.
We're gonna ride.
5
I'll
foot
be very
3,
unhappy.
Okay.
We must protect her at all costs.
She is the mascot of this party.
Screw whatever you worked
Okay.
on. This is the campaign.
What is her name?
I'm just picturing at some point she's like, you're a really good listener.
So like Nikki Forrest is just going to like kind of lean down a little bit as they're finishing this, right? And again is just going to like, I will defend this temple, and like the thumbs up, and then
Great.
go to the, like, and then just like release her and like walk back to the front door. just like
Station.
just yeah, like
The part that I forgot about this is that you're holding onto her the whole time she's like
yeah, I'm just-
spilling her life story to you.
and then yeah, so I'm just gonna like be outside the door and like slightly to the left, but so that like I can just look at every person who comes up and just like I'm at this point motionless, right? Like I don't need to like crouch or stretch or anything, so I'm just
Like a centurion.
yeah, just like watching every person approach.
She goes, "Oh, I'm sure people are probably going to ask about who you are and what you're doing. What should I call you?"
I am Nikki Foros.
"Hi, that's so great. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Maya. I'm going to go tell the Helen Priestess about you so you don't get, like, kicked out or whatever." Oh, maybe this will be my promotion. And she, like, gives a little, like, yes gesture. And she runs off with
Approval
tray
is
in hand.
important.
Climbing up that social ladder.
It's just the boost I needed. And
I found the help.
and Lenny, you are with Desma and Ophelos and Graves off to the side, and you can see that clearly people are giving this temple a very wide berth, and you have just seen a very interesting looking metal minotaur stride up to these steps, walk inside, and a moment later station themselves firmly outside of the building.
Is it too late to renegotiate the terms?
Heads up, my price just went up.
And Graves looks at you and is like, "That's why we ask in advance," with a wink.
I'll remember that for next time. But that's fair.
Graves is a veteran.
Yeah.
He's been in this business long enough.
All
Runs his
right.
whole damn troop.
Fair. So I'm thinking we just have to case the place, right?
I think so. I think, yeah, definitely the place to start. Why don't you head around the back? We'll take a little look-see around the front, and we'll see if there's any more convenient ways in.
All right. Sounds great. See you later.
And
You don't happen to have any black and green clothing on you, do you?
and you see they take out a mask, produce it from some unknowable pocket within their sort of like very drab and unassuming sort of gray clothes, and they take this bright gold mask, this sort of featureless mask, and place it on their face and sort of give a slight little touch to the nose, and they appear as someone completely different. You have definitely seen this. You have definitely recognized this as the followers of Phoenix, those who are high up enough, when they don these bronze, when they don these gold sort of masks, they allow them to take whatever form that they need.
Man, that's some real like Black Widow and like the Winter Soldier type stuff, right? Like,
Right. I guess I will find my own way then. And then I will head to the back.
As you are heading around the back, go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Okay. That is a 13 plus 4 is 17.
Nice, very cool. So as you are sort of casing around the back, you notice that there aren't any other doors, but on the western edge of the temple, you can definitely see that there are not windows, but there are sort of chimneys that lead up out of the temple that emit at random intervals these different like plumes of smoke. You can see like a red burst, and then a blue burst, and then at these very intermittent times. But there are definitely no windows or other doors on here. And so, as far as entrances, you think you could probably climb to the top and shimmy your way down?
Yeah. That seems super dangerous. Can I climb to the top with some water? Like, I'm gonna find like an amphora or something.
Okay.
I'm thinking if I just dump it down the chimney, then I'll put out whatever's going on down there so I don't get exposed to whatever blue and red bursts are happening as I go down the chimney.
I like it. Give me an athletics check. As
Okay,
you're like
I'm less good at this.
shimmying up. Or sorry, athletics. Athletics. Yeah.
14.
Nice. So yeah, it takes a little bit of effort, but you can see that with they're enough. The architecture is generous enough to allow fairly easy access up to the roof, where you can climb onto the top and find your way to one of these.
Tilos does love himself some generous architecture. He'll dump the amphora of water. Let's wait for one of the bursts and then just dump it down right after that, and then immediately start going down as fast as I can.
You hear the sort of as you dump it down, you can hear a quick sort of shout of, "Hey, what gives?" Would you like to continue down?
Yes. I got me
this
some
can't
dark
possibly
vision.
end poorly at all.
Oh, I am gonna also hold on to the amphora as well.
Of course. And so as you shimmy your way down, go ahead and give me a percentile roll.
All right. 51.
So as you shimmy your way down, all of a sudden there is just like you get about like only about a third more of the way down. These like sort of chimney sweeps are quite long. They're probably about 25 feet tall. And so as you get to like the last 7 feet, all of a sudden there is this yellow that explodes through. And you find yourself graced with some sort of effect. Your skin sort of shimmers with the sort of yellowish glow that you recognize to be invisibility.
Oh.
And that's where we're going to end this session.
Oh boy.
Wow.
That is fantastic because I don't have to smash the person in the head with a pot, and I'm so happy about that.
Oh boy, this has been a blast, everyone. And wow, what a first session. And now all of us are inside the Temple of Melody. And we'll see what happens in a month from now on the first Monday of November, which is looking at my calendar, the 1st of November. So that makes it easy to
Hey.
remember.
The day after Halloween.
Hell yeah. On All
Yeah.
Souls Day, when we will maybe learn more about this mysterious illness that has taken Miletus by force. But yes, I have been your dungeon master this evening, Sage.
I've been your humble Nyxborn prophetic healer, Callahan.
I've been your civic engineer.
I'm Claybee, and I've been your enthusiastic robot minotaur, Nikki.
I'm Lenny, and I have been your definitely shady, maybe a little bit violent and kleptomaniac thief.
So yes, so if you wish to give these a rewatch or want to recommend them to your friends, these VODs will be saved for all time and all space forevermore on the Mind Sculptors YouTube channel, where you can find a lot of great Magic the Gathering content. Callahan and I, in fact, host a segmented podcast called Nico's Angels, where we talk about issues of inclusivity and diversity within not only just the spaces of Magic the Gathering, but in gaming in general. We've had a couple of great episodes so far, and yeah, why don't you all go ahead and talk about the content that you all make, any cool projects that you all have coming up, and as we do our sort of outros.
Yeah. So, like you said, we do Nico's Angels together. A lot of what we do on the Mind Sculptors outside of that is CEDH content in organizing sort of a sports-oriented approach to competitive Magic in general. So we do weekly podcasts, and then sometimes we do stuff on Fridays. But every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, new episodes drop on our YouTube channel, on Spotify, all those stuff. So if you like brewing, you like talking about Magic, and you like talking about competitive Magic, we're a pretty good spot to check out.
Absolutely. I love, because, I drive like 8 hours a day, and so, honestly, the Mind Sculptors has my favorite intro theme song of any podcast that I listen to, so every time I hear those beats come on, I'm like, yeah, gotta talk about Magic.
Everybody asks me, what the name of the song is. I'm like, I don't know. It's some, generic song that I found from one of my, sites that I use, and people like it, so I'm glad they like it.
Oh yeah, I guess it's me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you can also find me on the Mind Sculptors with Callahan. I sometimes pop up on their podcasts and their gameplay videos, and on Playing with Power. I'm also on their Discord for both the Mind Sculptors and Playing with Power, so you guys can hit me up there, and you can also hit me up on Twitter with the Twitter handle there at Ilvaldi. Yeah, I also just do a lot of stuff on Magic the Gathering. So, but I'm more than happy to talk about other nerdy things like D&D and such.
City planning.
And city planning
And philosophy.
and police investigation work as well, and I guess other stuff. And if this is a really long shot, but if any of you guys like the game Fire Emblem or whatever, I'm a huge fan of that too.
I've always wanted to play.
Yeah, the name of my character actually comes from a Fire Emblem character. You can look him up. He's got a very interesting backstory there too.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Claybee.
Yeah, I'm Claybee. I do. This is the big exciting project that I've had coming up for a month that I've just been like bouncing up and down for. Otherwise, I make casual Magic content with my friends over at the CNC Power Hour. We stream on Wednesdays and Sundays. Primarily, we do virtual EDH just because that's the easiest now that I have moved away from our home base in Atlanta. But we do Commander, we do Limited, we do pre-constructed products. We did a custom Magic set a month ago. We also did a Mirage sealed stream, which was wild and an experience. So we're working our way through the annals of Magic while also doing Commander and mixing it up with other people from the community. And otherwise, yeah, you can find me on Twitter, where I'm usually harassing one of my many friends in the community about dumb Magic ideas or ways to break the arena client, and just having a good time.
Hell yeah. And Lenny.
I'm Lenny. You can find me at Lenny Woolley on Twitter, where I occasionally post and I reply a lot. You can also find my article series, Power Sync, on edhrec.com. My last article was last Wednesday. Usually it's Thursday, but they threw me a curveball. So I won't have on this week, but it's next week. Oh yeah, the last one was I took Narset Enlightened Master, and I made a burn deck out of
That
it.
was such a cool deck. I have to say.
Fun.
That deck was so cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so that's basically all I do is I take those commanders that people are like, you shouldn't play that because, like, people are just going to target you. And I'm like, well, here's a cool idea you could play and say, hey, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this instead.
Into it.
I thank you. I got to also show my husband's content because I haven't done that in a minute. And my husband has an Etsy shop. It's in my link tree. He does custom crochet work, and he also has started making his own dice. But yeah, so he's done. I can show off for any Dragon Ball Z fans. This is my custom Shenron dice bag.
Oh,
wow.
nice.
With
What a good
old Dragon
boy.
Balls.
Nice.
And then my Bear Pride flag dice bag,
Cute.
and my custom crochet Grothama All Devouring, which is one of my favorite commanders, which I have subjected Claybee to on numerous occasions.
I love the fact that everyone can all gang up on Grothama.
No, that's the Lenny trick. No one
Yeah.
gangs up on Gothama except for Lenny. You never get to touch Gothama.
That's very true. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll draw 40 cards. But that's pretty much me. And this was also the big exciting project that I have going on, and I've been waiting for, and I had so much fun.
Okay, I'm so glad this has been such a blast, and I am, oh my god, the whole day I was just like, I can't wait to read the words that I spent so much time writing to my friends, and I hope they like them. So yes, this has been a wonderful time. We'll see you on November 1st, and yeah, until then, have fun, stay safe, and we will catch you next time.
I'm in line with the stars, I'm in sync with the earth. 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad, let her ties in the hearse. I've been on a vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, through that I survived, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit her to the sky, changed haters on a tirade. Talking to their crib in the face, be still, let that hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel big from the bib. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense, cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beast with the slap, pin myself on the map. You long with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights, couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, limit time when I chat. I'm burning down sage, keep the demons away. When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love.